especially since in 2012 he was confronted by police for allegedly driving under the influence of alcohol. He reportedly insisted his girlfriend had been driving the car and that his girlfriend was pop star Taylor Swift, despite the fact he was clearly not dating Taylor Swift and nobody else was even in the car with. He was just super wasted, which certainly didn't make for a good look for Crocs when all the headlines popped up about this. When George stepped down as the CEO of Crocs, the person who took his place was actually Lyndon's. We'd let him crash on his couch back when he was at his lowest point. That was Ron Snyder, and Ron is credited with leading Crocs into a new era of success as CEO. During his initial years, Crocs went from carrying 2 models of its shoe to around 250 revenue, and stock values continued to climb, and Croc expanded its international presence. They also began to acquire adjacent companies like Gits, which made charms you can attach to Crocs so that people can personalize their shoes. Crocs also established licensing agreements with the likes of Disney and the NBA. At this point, they seemed unstoppable. That was until 2007 when things began to take a turn. As with many other companies, the financial crisis of 2008 brought major bumps in the road. Consumers weren't shopping and sales went down, bringing stocks with them. Crocs announced a projection of decreased revenue. And over the coming years, they hit employees with a number of layoffs and continued to struggle in the stock market. Then, in the middle of these financial troubles, in 2008, a company called Select LLC came forward with accusations that Crocs violated a 1999 patent for a material extremely similar to Crocs' Cross lines. On top of that, manufacturers of Crocs lookalikes said that Crocs was actually just a lookalike of an Italian shoe that existed well before Crocs, which Scott allegedly knew about. All this speculation that Crocs' design had been ripped off from somewhere else just sent their stock price stumbling further. And yet Crocs is still here. I'm thriving right now. So how did they bring the infamously ugly shoe back from the brink? Rapid growth may seem great on the surface, but for Crocs, it was just the tip of an unsustainable iceberg. Overexpansion and an excessive inventory left them largely treading water, as Fast Company described it, from 2008 to 2018. But then suddenly Crocs stock began to bounce back. It was a combination of smart marketing and capitalizing on the fact that several celebrities like actor Shia had been photographed wearing their shoes. What's interesting is that at many points, Crocs did try different designs that weren't so ugly as to appeal to a wider customer base. But ultimately they realized that their power actually might be in their polarization. No one is neutral on Crocs. You either love them or hate them. So Crocs began to push out a message of acceptance, individuality, and creativity. The Crow CMO said that Crocs fans see themselves as bold and one of a kind. They tried to position it as Crocs wear, as having a kind of cool, carefree attitude of not worrying what other people think. They then combined this messaging along with a number of strategic celebrity partnerships with the likes of Justin Bieber and Post Malone. There was even a collaboration with Kentucky Fried Chicken, including scented fried chicken chew charms that really smelled like chicken. Crocs became a cultural chameleon, able to adapt to a wide variety of partnerships, from the sleek and high concept to the utterly bizarre high-fashion retailers, and brands like Barney's and Lenya also picked up on the trend, increasing lines of custom platform Crocs, the graced the runways of Paris, and sold are instantly in stores. Basically, Crocs' strategy of aggressively pursuing collaborations was varied, as they especially focused on collabs they knew would generate a lot of headlines by being surprising. Hearing Crocs have partnered with Cheerios cereal or being worn by high-end fashion models provides endless publicity. Another huge win for Crocs was, surprisingly, the pandemic. Whilst most apparel companies suffered in a pandemic economy, Crocs thrived. In fact, 2020 was their best year ever, driven by a desire for comfort. Sales surged to new heights and stock values rose 300%. It also helped that Crocs had already switched to prioritizing online sales, and it closed down a lot of their expensive retail shops so they could focus more on e-commerce. In 2021, Crocs reported a record high revenue of $2.3 billion. Of course, as a footwear company, one of Crocs' biggest hurdles will always be relevance. As with any sort of fashion, there's a question of whether something is simply a passing trend or a true staple of global culture. But Crocs have been around for about 20 years and is recognizable all over the world. Plus, they're seemingly making more money than ever, which is pretty impressive for a product that even the founders of the company thought was ugly. Now, at this point you might say, sure, they've done well, but the CRO's founders already had some business experience and money to invest. So why don't you tell me about a business that started from absolutely nothing? And to that, I would say good point. I think you already liked this video either way. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next